internet. You might know me on social media as Nettersplays. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about my acquisitions and impressions for the month of November. Now, I already made a little video about the games that I acquired at BGGCon, and that link is down below. So if you want to look at those games, which I believe there's something close to 20 games that I acquired there, and just want to see those impressions of those types of games, well, the link is down below and you can follow that there. Now, for the rest of the games for this month, I didn't acquire them at BGGCon, and I played actually all of them but one. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a general first impression of those games played, along with the game that I didn't play, and just give you a general overview of why I picked it up. So let's get to it. So the first game I'll talk to you about is a game that I haven't yet played, and that is El Vecchio. Now, El Vecchio is a 2 to 4 player game, and it plays in about 60 to 80 minutes. It's about an hour long, and it's by the same designer as Karuba and Istanbul, and even Jumbo too. But his name is Rudiger Dorn. Now, I was first attracted to this game not because of the cover or anything like that, but because I saw it on the One Tar. So I saw Tiffany playing this game and I thought, oh, okay, well, it was a little interesting. It's a pickup and delivery game, which is a game that I'm not usually attracted to because I don't generally have that many games of this type. And the coolest thing about this game, actually, when I opened it, was the board itself. Now, the game board I thought was really neat because it's really big and just a lot of stuff going on it. And there's also two sides to it, but they're actually the same thing. It's just a different color. But yeah, it's just a pickup and delivery game where we're all different families and we're trying to conspire against the Medici family in Italy. And what we're trying to do is basically send out these like middlemen all over the countryside, and they're trying to do certain tasks and certain things for us. So we go all over the map and we do these different actions, acquire these different figures, send them over to other locations, and kind of move things about and around and try to complete certain amounts of goals. So I thought this game was a pretty attractive kind of Euro game with a pickup and delivery. I thought would be kind of simple to play and something that might pique my interest with this kind of genre. So that is El Vecchio. This game that I got next is a game that I'm expanding on to an already great game, and that is Seven Wonders Duel Pantheon Expansion. Now, I already have Seven Wonders, and I think this is a great two-player game. It's really neat in the way it uses drafting in this game for 2 players, which usually drafting isn't great for 2 players. But this game, it provides like a pyramid of cards, and you're picking and choosing cards from the bottom, and you're leaving other ones available for players to pick up. So it's a really cool take on drafting. Now, the Seven Wonders Duel Pantheon, I would suggest it basically if you're a fan of this game, you should definitely look into this one, simply because of the cards that it provides. Now, it provides these different god cards, which is like Zeus or Ra, different types of gods from Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and so on. And what it does is it provides these bonus actions for players to pick and choose and use throughout the game. Now, the cool thing is that there's a certain thing about Seven Wonders Duel that I don't really like, and it's the fact that sometimes you don't want to pick a card because you know it's going to leave other cards available to your opponent before you. So there's a kind of an avoidance of picking those certain cards. But in Pantheon, it kind of corrects that because it offers these bonus tokens. Now, these tokens offers an incentive for players to pick those cards up to provide these other cards for other players because it's giving them the option to lay one of these god cards down and making them available for future use. Now, this cool thing right here is a really cool addition to the scoreboard right here. So you have this board in the original game, and then you're adding in this expansion board to it. So it really fits in nicely. It's a really great look and design for the game. And it's just like, I think if you're already a fan of Seven Wonders Duel, there's really no reason why you shouldn't pick this up. I mean, this game is already great as it is. There's a few flaws that I've found because I play it so often, but this game this expansion just makes it brand new again. And so I've really been enjoying the Seven Wonders Pantheon expansion, and if you're interested, you should definitely check it out. So the next game that I also acquired is a game where I'm expanding on a game that I already like, and that game is Evolution Climate. I got the conversion kit. So this game kind of expands on a game that I already have, which is called Evolution. Now, Evolution is a game based on science where all these animals kind of live and survive around one another, and you build different traits onto them. They acquire these different traits, and you can make their population grow, you can make the size of the animal bigger or smaller, and you can even make them carnivorous where they feed on each other and kind of attack one another. So there's different ways of just like making animals evolve in this game. And now it comes with this expansion where you have climate involved. So not only are you trying to survive with all these other animals trying to eat all your food or trying to eat you, but you also have these changes in the climate where things are going to change and they're going to become either hotter or colder. Now it comes with this cool player board here, and what you're going to do is you're going to either make the climate hotter or colder on this board. And at certain times when it's at specific heats or temperatures, you're going to have these special event cards. Now these event cards are just going to happen, and usually they're pretty bad, so you just have to react to them and just hopefully you don't die off as a species. But yeah, it makes a game that I already like, Evolution, and I think it's a really cool way of just learning about evolution, biology, and science and all that. But it also adds in a different factor, and I'm really enjoying this new expansion to it too. So another thing that it came with is this Evolution promo pack, and this was part of the Kickstarter. And what it came with was it came with more trait cards, so you could add to the game, along with these different scenario cards. So now you're actually adding a theme to this game. So now, you know, certain things are going to happen, and it's going to explain to you why. So I haven't played with these scenario cards, so I'm kind of interested in trying them out. And another cool thing about this game is just the artwork itself. Like, the artwork is, if you haven't noticed already, is just amazing. So that's another attraction to this game that I have. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest this expansion. If you already have Evolution, you probably will like this expansion because it adds a different kind of a different just thing that's going on in this game that makes it a little bit more interesting. Now, if you're not a fan of Evolution, I don't think this is going to make it any better for you. So definitely, if you're interested, you should check this out. And if not, well, you should probably pass it up. But I've really been enjoying it. So that is Evolution Climate. So the next game I'll talk to you about is this small little card game called Archaeology. Now, it's an older game, but it's kind of been revamped. And there's a couple more additions, like these different monument tiles. So these monument tiles are just going to change up the way the game is played for that time. So you can either pick and choose, or you can just get one randomly, and it's just going to change a little bit of the game. Now, the game itself is just basically just a big deck of cards. You're going to be digging through these cards because you're a whole bunch of archaeologists. So every time you go, you dig. You're going to find treasure. And so what you're trying to do is collect these different kinds of cards. And what you're doing is you're trying to collect these different sets of cards. So say, for example, you have 2 of these cards. Well, if you sell them to the museum, you're going to get that many points depending on how many of those cards you have. So you might be collecting these cards, and every time you play, you're going to dig. Now, sometimes when you dig, you might run into a sandstorm. And what that does is it's going to make you lose half of your cards. So even though you're trying to save up and collect a little bit more of that type of treasure, you might run into one of these, and then all of a sudden you lose half of your hand. Another cool card is the Thief. So the thief is going to come into play whenever this card is drawn. You get to steal from someone else. So if you see that card in front of you, you're just going to pick and choose who you want to take a card from. So it makes it a little bit more interactive and a little bit more fun between players too. Because you can be easily bluffing and trying to make the one player kind of pick a card or something, or it just makes it silly. So anyways, I've really been enjoying Archaeology. I think it's a really lightweight game. It's 2 to 5 players. It plays in about 20-30 minutes, and it's really easy to teach too. So if you get a chance, you should definitely try Archaeology. The next game I'll talk to you about is this game called Helios. Now, Helios is a game that really surprised me because I haven't heard of this game at all. Now, it's a 2 to 4 player game and it plays in about 45 to 60 minutes. It's fairly short, but it provides a lot of gameplay in it. It's an engine building type of game, and it uses a weird kind of drafting system with resource exchange, resource management, and it has this really weird thing in the center of the board where the sun is moving around these different land tiles and kind of, you know, shining the light on them, and then they're generating resources, and you use those resources for certain things. Now, it's really cool. It's a great production. I haven't heard too much, which is really odd. But the cool thing is it has this really good insert right here. Has all these different tiles. It has all these different tokens, wooden, and it's really great production. And it has these like cool little plastic pieces too, which are like mana in the game. And it even has these like little baggies that every single player is going to have to kind of hide their tokens. And that's how you score points, by acquiring these different coins and such. So it's a really cool production. It's all screen printed. It's a drawstring. It's really nice. Also, the game board right here, every player is going to get a set of this. So this is for one player. So they get this set right here, which is like the marketplace, where you can exchange resources for points or different actions. This right here is what you're mainly going to work on. So this is basically where you're going to hide or place these different tiles, which generate different resources. And what you're doing is you're going to place them in certain areas, and then you have this sun, which is going to travel around those tiles. So if you have them built in a certain way, it's going to travel around, and you can up the speed of that sun, or you can also place tiles in a certain way where you can kind of generate more if that sun is in a certain location. It's really different. It's really odd. However, I really have been enjoying this game because it's so different. It's so unique. So you should definitely check out Helios. If you haven't heard of this, I wouldn't be surprised because I didn't hear about it. But it's a really quick game. It kind of satisfies that urge of playing a really heavy game, but not taking that much time. So definitely, if you're interested, you should check out Helios. So the last game I'll talk to you about is this game called The Manhattan Project Energy Empire. Now, this game itself is not about the Manhattan Project. It's the aftermath of the Manhattan Project. And it's all about building energy in our society, in our community. However, if you're a fan of the Manhattan Project, you might be a fan of this because it uses a similar kind of worker placement in that game as this one. However, if you're not a fan of the Manhattan Project, well, this game might offer some things that you actually might enjoy too. And actually it takes away from the things that I didn't enjoy in the Manhattan Project and kind of fixes that and makes it a little bit more interesting. And to tell you the truth, I've actually enjoyed this game a lot more than the Manhattan Project, which is really awesome because I like that game, but there's just some things I really didn't like about the Manhattan Project. For example, in the Manhattan Project, you have this special action where you can actually bomb other players and kind of make their facilities useless. And it's really like a big take that, and I really don't like that aspect in the game where you're just destroying each other. It makes the game last a long time, and it just gets us like upset. It kind of creates a tension that I really don't like in gameplay, where you're just destroying one another after you take so long to build up on something. Now, this game kind of takes that whole thing out and creates a timer system. So at a certain time, the game is going to end. And we're all creating pollutions, and we're all trying to, either do things differently and be more efficient. And the focus is that instead of destroying one another, we're just comparing our efficiency to one another and our pollution as well. So I've really been enjoying this game a lot. Now, the cool thing about this is that it comes with this board right here. And this board is just, the way that it's laid out is really nice. I like the design work on it. You're going to lay these cards in different areas. And you're going to do different actions. So what you can do is you can do these special government actions, special industry actions, or commerce. And they specify in certain things. So you can really see how it progresses. You can really focus in on a certain direction in this game just by looking at the board and the way it's laid out. Every player is also going to get these player mats, and these player mats will show you what you're polluting, whether you're polluting the sky or the forest or the ocean. Now, it's not great to pollute, of course, so you have different cleanup mechanisms and stuff you can do. You can collect different energy types. You have these special dice that you're going to be rolling between like generations of turns, and it really adds in that kind of like, you don't know specifically what you're going to do, so you really can't plan it out because you have a die roll to depend on. So I think it's really neat, and the way that it plays, it's just so different. Again, you have these different workers and you're going to play them out onto the board, and you don't get to use those different actions or resources until you get them out of the board. So you have turns where you're just placing workers, and then you have this big turn where you take them all off and you generate all these different things. So also I wanted to note on the components in this game. The components are really great. They're really detailed. You have like these oil bins, and you have these different iron I-beams and such. And it's really great. I really enjoyed the components, the gameplay, the cards, everything is really well developed in this game. And especially the gameplay itself. So I've really been enjoying this game a lot. So if you really take interest, you should definitely check out Energy Empire. So thank you so much for watching this video. And I hope that I kind of piqued your interest in some of these games. Maybe you haven't heard about them, or maybe you just dislike them more now. I don't know. Hopefully it was informative. So if you want to go ahead and just leave a comment or a like below, go ahead and do so. If you have any other suggestions of games that I might like, or if you want to find out a little bit more about a game, just make a comment down below. Now, if you want to see the other games that I acquired at BGGCon, all the links are down below too, where you can look at those other games. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, or any of those other sites, all the links are below and at the end of this video. I'm also a part of Meeples Included and Instagamers Network, so you can find me there too. But anyways, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.